Good morning, everyone. And Cynthia, you are so welcome. I had so much fun on Shizzy's stream last night. If you missed Shizzy's stream last night, we went completely off the rails. I think both Shizzy and I broke ourselves. And I have myself on full screen in case you did not see it last night. I finished the project I was working on. So we are going to do a members only stream or video where I show you how I clean it all off, set it out, and then you guys can vote on the next project. I think I have mostly Sailor Moon and maybe Lord of the Ring. To be honest, this is just a ploy so I can buy more kits, even though I have kits at home. Don't tell Mr. Mo. I'm just kidding. I actually have more kits than I know what to do with, so I need to finish the ones that I have at home before buying new ones. I'm actually attempting to be a real adult human being this year. Good morning, Reindeer and Wolfram. Thank you for doing the mod stuff. Fraud at Wrangler, thank you for uploading that lovely body cam photo or video of Chris getting arrested. That was the man has not done anything for Indiana, and Indiana would like to be exempted from his, association just from me. Good morning, Christine and Erin Olivia and Mag in Florida and Squid Pro Quo, Jeff Clark. Wolfram, thank for doing all the mod stuff. And Captain Kern, BL Blazy. Lori, good morning. Tammy, good morning. Phoenix and Janie and Hey Joe and Squid Pro Quo. Greedy Bloke. Let's see, Slinky. And trying to see. I think I got everything. I got everyone. I would like to launch a complaint with Star Command, the Federation, the Empire, the the US government, the UN, UNICEF, and everywhere else. My Walmart stopped stocking my cleansing conditioner, and I am about to lose my mind. I spent 20 minutes in there trying to find it, and they're like, "Oh no, we stopped stocking that." And I was like, "Y'all, no." Good morning, Kindles and Veilhammer and T. Underwood. So, unfortunately, our first story is about the earthquake in Taiwan. So, horrified commuters thrown around train, child rescued from collapsed building as 7.4 magnitude earthquake kills 7 and injures 700 in Taiwan. At least 7 people were killed and more than 700 were injured when a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck Taiwan early Wednesday morning. The quake, which rocked the island just before 8 a.m. local time, downed buildings in Taiwan's eastern city of Hulin, causing a small tsunami on the coast of Japan's Hwanghae Islands. Duct tape and holy water make no bones about the fact that their host doesn't understand how to pronounce these cities. But I do know Taiwan. So there you go. Deaths were reported in Hualien, which was the epicenter of the earthquake, the strongest one to hit Taiwan in 25 years, according to the country's fire department. At least 3 of the dead were believed to have been crushed by falling rocks from the mountainside. More than 50 were wounded, according to the country's fire department. Local media showed buildings knocked off their foundation after the quake struck as people were heading to work and school. So unfortunately, this happened right around rush hour time. So everyone is out and about and getting, ready for their day. At least 26 buildings collapsed with 20 people trapped inside as rescue efforts are underway, the fire department said. Shocking footage of the aftermath posted on social media shows massive buildings dramatically leaning on extreme angles as the cloud of dust still hung in the air. Another clip shows strap hangers aboard Taipei's metro gripping onto poles in their seats as the quake rocked the train car from side to side. This is just unimaginable devastation. And, just minutes before, their lives were just normal, just absolutely normal. The earthquake caused several parts of the capital city, Taipei, to lose power while train service was temporarily suspended across the country. However, things appear to return to normal with people commuting to work and children heading to school shortly after the quake. You don't even get a day off for an earthquake. Japan issued an evacuation advisory for coastal areas near Okinawa after the earthquake triggered a tsunami warning. The Japan Meteorological Agency, JAMA, forecasted a tsunami of up to 9.8 feet for the southern island group of Okinawa. Japan's self-defense force deployed aircraft to gather more information about the tsunami's impact in the region and to prepare shelters for evacuees if needed. A wave about 1 foot was reported on the coast of Yongwin Island roughly 15 minutes after the quake struck. JMA said waves likely also hit the coast of Maeko and Yamea Islands, though the 1 foot wave was believed to be the tallest. The tsunami warning was downgraded in Japan and canceled in the Philippines a couple hours later after both countries determined the threat had passed. Several aftershocks shook Taiwan after the initial earthquake, including one that measured a 6.5 magnitude. The U.S.'s National Tsunami Warning Center said it was analyzing the event to determine the level of danger for Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California, and British Columbia. It later determined that there was no threat. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said that there was no tsunami threat for Hawaii or any U.S. Pacific territories such as Guam. Taiwan's earthquake monitoring agency gave the magnitude as 7.2, while the U.S. Geological Survey put it at 7.4. Now, what you have to remember is that these are multiples or multipliers in intensity, not like one step. Look, it's got math involved, but apparently for every step up, it's a factor of magnitude, not just like, oh, level 1, level 2, adding just one part onto it. So it is pretty scary, and that was a pretty big one. The depth of the quake was measured at 21 miles below the surface. The quake was believed to have been the biggest in Taiwan since 1999, when a major 7.7 magnitude tremor caused extensive damage on the island and killed 2,400 people. In 2019, a magnitude 6.2 quake hit near Huyen and killed at least 17 people and injured more than 300 others. So, not being a big, person that's knowledgeable in Taiwan, I do know that Japan has built a lot of their buildings to be earthquake, if not earthquake proof, then resistant. I don't know what the building standards are in Taiwan, but I do hope that they are able to get the resources, get the help that they need, and hopefully we can, if possible, send resources to help them and at least get the people that are trapped out. In other news, an object that crashed through a Florida roof may have come from the International Space Station. So, hey, if you're in Florida and you have something hit your roof, it could be from space, but it also could be, airplane poo, like Joe Dirt. So I wouldn't eat French fries off of either. NASA is analyzing a 2-pound object that crashed through a Florida man's roof to determine whether it came from the International Space Station. Alejandro Otero said the object crashed through the roof of his Naples home at 2:34 p.m. local time on March 8th, and the sound was recorded by his Ring security camera. The U.S. Space Command recorded the reentry of a piece of debris from the International Space Station around the same time over the Gulf of Mexico, with a trajectory taking it towards southwest Florida. Y'all, you'd think they'd like maybe put warnings out like, look, we're getting rid of some space junk. It's might could gonna fall. Be warned. But no, they were tracking it, they just didn't tell nobody. Awesome. The debris was a cargo pallet of depleted batteries that had originally been intended to be returned to Earth in a controlled manner. But a failed Soyuz spacecraft launch led to the interruption of the ISS schedule, and the pallet of batteries instead had headed back to Earth in an uncontrolled reentry. Again, things that should be, maybe disseminated into the public. Hey, we got a load of space trash that, our giant space station dump truck exploderated and we couldn't get there, in time. So we just decided to kick it out. You couldn't have sent it into the face of the sun. I mean, it's space. Inherent in there is that there is a shit ton of space where this stuff could have gone instead of some dude's roof. Ortero said his son was home at the time of the crash but was not injured. The object was turned over to NASA to determine whether it originated from the ISS pallet of batteries. It used to have a cylindrical shape. You can tell by the shape at the top that it traveled in this direction through the atmosphere. Whatever you burned created uh, in this burn. Whatever you burned created in this burn melted the metal over in this direction, Otero told WINK News. Again, I would mount that on my on my wall and set under the check that NASA sends me. I mean, I'm just saying. Look, pay me a bunch of money and tell me where the aliens are. But that's just me. Invisibility may not only be linked to camouflage anymore. Wild, quote, invisibility shield, end quote, makes you disappear in plain sight. So no more having to wear, you know, camouflage. Turning science fiction into reality. This is no magician's act. British startup Invisibility Shield Co. has revealed that it created a 6-foot tall mega shield being sold for $828, which they claim can make multiple people invisible. Have you just tried to be like slightly awkward in high school? I'm telling you. You'll be invisible unless, of course, you're in trigonometry and you sit in the back and Miss Fleener is just asking questions. You don't make eye contact and she can still see the heck out of you. It's just like, look, I am in the back for a reason. I should not be in trigonometry. Which they claim can make multiple people invisible like something straight out of a Harry Potter film. The shields utilize ultra-large precision engineered lens rays, which form the face of each shield and redirect light that reflects off a person standing behind the shield away from the observer. You would think. I did not cover myself in mud like the Predator. If I ever have to do high school again, I'm going full Dutch at the end of the movie. Get to the chopper. Suspicious girlfriends everywhere, thank you. The shape and placement of these lenses then cause background light from either side of the shields to spread over the apparatus's face to be directed toward the observer instead, effectively making whatever is behind disappear in plain sight. You know what does that too? A wall. I mean, I understand and I get the concept that this is, but it's still a flat surface that you would generally just have to hold, like, in front of you, a la any sort of cartoon. But, hey, I am still pissed off because I was promised a freaking flying car, okay? And we get essentially a light wall. However, the technology does not blend into its surroundings perfectly and does create a blurred block. Each unit is fully waterproof and doesn't require any power as it is constructed from 100% recyclable materials. And thank you for your gifted membership, Fraudit Wrangler. And that went to Jim Schuler. So thank you. I have got my board put up, though Mr. Mo said that since I didn't use power tools, I just used push pins. Apparently, you're supposed to use nails to put things up that are heavier than paper. So he will be redoing all of my picture placement since push pins are apparently not structurally sound. I was like, "No, I did good. I didn't touch any of your tools." He's like, "I don't even with you sometimes." Let's see here. Each unit is fully waterproof, does not require any power, and is constructed from 100% recyclable materials, according to the company. The possibilities are endless, but most important of all, these shields are great fun. They're fun to play around with and exciting for us to make. Invisibility Shield designer Tristan Thompson told Southwest News Service. Invisibility Shield Co. first released its product in 2022, advertising a full size shield measuring 3 feet tall for $354 and a smaller version standing 8 inches tall to be sold for $54. The team began crowdfunding on Kickstarter in hopes of turning science fiction into reality in 2022 and quickly surpassed their 6,600 goal, expecting to ship to customers by the end of that year. They updated the Kickstarter fundraiser on Tuesday, 4 years after the initial launch, to announce the updated product. The latest version of the invisibility shield can hide multiple people, stand on its own, and be packed down to 2.3 inches of thickness, allowing people to easily take them anywhere they want to disappear. You know, I am thinking that this is good for stalkers and Wile E. Coyote. I don't know the actual commercial application that's non-nefarious for these particular items, unless you're a hunter, but, I don't know. And Tammy, I hope you are feeling marginally better. I feel you with the sinus infection. My brain is trying to birth itself out of, I think, my sinus, so I had to pick up. Well, now, possibly. We wanted to see how far we could push this technology, a real working invisibility shield that you can just roll up and sling over your shoulder. 2 years ago, nobody would have thought anyone could do that, Thompson said. Yeah, I do feel bad for Wile E. Coyote. I mean, I hope he has stock in the Acme company. Either that or he's like a sponsor of some kind because he has wasted a lot of money on things that don't seem to get that. Uh, in other bad news for mainland China, 3 people were unfortunately, well, killed after being ripped from their high-rise apartments by freak windstorms in China, local reports say. 3 people died on Sunday in China's, Guangxi province after being torn from their high-rise apartment by heavy winds, local media reported. All 3 were from the same waterfront neighborhood in the south of the city of Nanchang and were sleeping at around 3 a.m. when strong gales destroyed the outward-facing walls of their rooms. What in the y'all, are we in has someone opened, like, all the seals? Did did someone watch that Demi Moore movie in the early '90s about all the seals being opened at the end of times? For the love of Cheetos, we've got, double cicadas, hurricanes, earthquakes. I'm just y'all, I don't know. Let's see. A neighborhood group chat message published by Jimu News and other regional media identified 3 of the deceased as a 64-year-old woman, her 11-year-old grandson, and another 60-year-old woman. This is so sad. Also, windstorm, like, what grade of construction were y'all using? I mean, were the builders that were in charge of this house that didn't own a level or a square? in charge of building that, asking for a friend. As of Tuesday morning, Beijing time, the state media did not acknowledge specific circumstances of the death. My shock. But national broadcaster CCTV reported that 4 people died, along with more than 10 others that were injured that morning due to strong convective weather. The 60-year-old woman's death has captured the nation's attention on social media, reaching 300 million views on Weibo, China's version of X, on Monday, per data seen by Business Insider. Oh, Lord, they have a film of it. Oh, I guess, okay, footage of her room on the 11th floor, filmed by regional media, showed it destroyed, floor to ceiling, with a window gone, with a gaping hole in the apartment that overlooked the urban landscape. An empty bed framed and tattered curtains can be seen in the clips. The woman's partner, identified only by his surname Wayne, no, I'm guessing Juan, told local reporters that he woke around 3 a.m. due to the storm and discovered that the gusts had shattered the glass panels in his balcony. He said he and his partner slept in different rooms that evening and he went to wake her. I urgently ran to this room to call my partner. I called out, but there was no response. There was no person to call, he said. He later found his partner's body at the base of the apartment building, his daughter told Jimu News. Look, China, I know you're not going to listen to me, partially because, I'm all like from a republic that is actually a republic and, democracy thing. But y'all are using really crappy construction stuff. And this is the worst thing you've done for a while. And y'all are just full of terrible ideas sometimes. Government of China, Chinese people, pretty good. Government of China. The 64-year-old woman and her grandson, identified by their surnames Lu and Zhu respectively, slept in the same room and were swept downstairs with their mattress. Chengdu-based Red Star News reported they were living on the 20th floor, per Red Star News. Reporters from both outlets published photos of the neighborhood that showed apartments with missing glass facades and only mangled frames remaining. On Monday, the Nanjing Emergency Management Bureau said that strong winds and rainstorms are expected to continue in the region over the next 3 days. Yeah, your building should stand up to weather, especially taller buildings need to have those factored in mathematically, I think. Yeah, that's not terrifying, greedy bloke. The recent deaths have turned attention to the neighborhood's construction quality and its developer. One media outlet, Xinmin Weekly, pointed to the former manager at the developer being convicted of paying bribes to state's officials from 2004 to 2019. The ex-manager, Li Minping, was sentenced to 10 years and 2 months in prison in June. While it's unclear if there's any link between Li and the neighborhood's build quality, the allegation touches on two hot button issues that have dominated conversation in China: the central government's crusade against rampant corruption and construction flaws in the nation's now ailing real estate market. The affected high-rise neighborhood in Nanjing was completed in 2015 per property listings of the area. Shouldn't your home be a safe haven from the wind? Mags in Florida, he is probably right. I have what is called four-nager syndrome. I have coined it myself, and thank you, Mags in Florida. It, so if I don't if I have to ask for help and it takes longer than, let's say 5 minutes, I will simply do it my own self with glue and, like, rubber bands instead of the right way. So, It is a flaw, I know in myself, but thank you. We are going to change things because I am too uncoordinated, and they need the screws that have the expandy thing in the back with a wall anchory deal. I let him deal with it. I just go and buy more crazy stuff. Shouldn't your home be a safe haven from the wind? One blogger wrote on Weibo. This basic function couldn't even be achieved. What really is the reason? The truth must be rigorously investigated. Others said associating Lee's bribe with the integrity of the glass facades is tenuous at best. These were installed by a decoration company found by the owner. It has nothing to do with the developer, one person commented in a post. So there you go. But I do think that there is going to be a reckoning as far as people are waking up, governments of the world that are trying to put a sort of leash on the internet and free speech. You can't leash that. You can try, you can make it more onerous to have differing opinions. You can, put a lot of different things in front of that, but you can't stop the free exchange of ideas now. We can't put the internet back in a bottle, for lack of a better words. And I was trying to see this because I didn't understand what I was seeing with this particular. It does, but then there's Rumble, and then there's other things that are going to pop up, and people that are much smarter than me that know how to, like, jailbreak stuff and all of that. So, while you can make it more onerous, while you can make it more difficult to achieve, I don't know that you can put the quick exchange of free ideas back in that bottle. Ex JP Morgan analyst awarded 3 or $35 million dollars a decade after a New York building's glass door suddenly shattered on her, causing permanent brain damage. A former JP Morgan analyst was awarded $35 million dollars in a verdict after a glass door of a Manhattan building suddenly shattered on her nearly a decade ago, leaving her with permanent brain damage, the Post has learned. The ruling in favor of Megan Brown, 36, followed a 3-week trial in which jurors were shown shocking surveillance footage of the moment a 7.5 foot tall lobby door seemingly exploded as she was walking through it while leaving a physical therapy appointment in 2015. I do remember seeing glass like everywhere in the lobby near me, Brown told jurors in a Manhattan Supreme Court. The harrowing incident caused a traumatic brain injury to the then 27-year-old, leading to the demise of her promising career in investment banking. Well, one of the biggest problems I have with my brain is I can't trust it, she said during an emotional testimony given March 12th, according to a trial transcript reviewed by the Post. It took 3 days of deliberations for the 6-person jury to unanimously rule in favor of Brown, finding the building's owner, 271 Madison Co.'s negligence was, quote, "a substantial factor in causing," end quote, her injuries, according to a jury verdict sheet. Brown told jurors the injuries ultimately cost her her job as a high-level analyst, negatively affected her ability to carry out everyday tasks, and even damaged her love life. Surveillance video from February 2nd, 2015, Brown in surveillance video from February 2nd, 2015, Brown can be seen walking up to the door, leaning onto it to push it open. Then a man puts his hand against the door while gripping a cell phone. The glass appears to spontaneously burst, and Brown can be seen stumbling through the rain of shards. The man helps Brown walk back through the threshold as she holds her head with her hands before standing near a wall and crumpling to the floor. Brown told jurors she doesn't remember the moment the door fell on her, but she could recall, quote, being inside and I was on the floor. At that point, people were helping me and glass was strewn all around her. Now a resident of Naples, Florida, who runs a gelato business, Brown was out for a year after the incident before going back to JP Morgan, but her career slowly declined and she was ultimately fired in 2021. Eventually, she was let go permanently and has not worked in that type of investment banking since. Her attorney, Tom Moore, told the Post, she keeps trying, but she just can't perform. Brown's traumatic brain injury caused a myriad of problems, including some unusual ones like losing her sense of smell, taste, and completely forgetting how to understand Spanish, a language she once spoke fluently, she told jurors. She was diagnosed with PTSD. Her executive function has slowed, and her memory, focus, and vocabulary have all suffered, she testified. She is now highly sensitive to light, has permanent headaches and neck pain problems with her depth perception, and experiences vertigo and balance issues, she explained to the jury. In fact, Brown got a service dog who helped prevent her from falling on many occasions, Moore said, noting that the dog passed just days before the trial. Ma'am, I am very sorry you lost your service dog. I know that that's not, you know, in the scheme of things, but that's a very deep and personal loss, and I am so sorry. Brown has been forced to seek medical treatment has seen many different types of specialists as she attempts to cope with her new normal, she testified. She met a man after the incident, but he eventually broke off their engagement when he realized he couldn't have a, quote, normal life with her, she testified. Brown's attorney told the jurors in closing arguments on March 25th, there is not a facet of her existence that is unaffected by her brain injuries. Okay, this is the stuff I am okay with people being litigious about. You didn't get your extra packet of ketchup. I'm going to need you to stop. I'm going to need everyone doing frivolous, ridiculous stuff, Lynette, all of you weird frauditors. There are people that really are injured by companies maybe doing doofus or dingus or downright, negligent things. And they have to wait all this time because, the court systems are clogged with a bunch of pro se crazy. And I understand being pro se and crazy are your God given American rights, but I wish we could have, in fact, make me the judge of the pro se circuit. If I can dress up in my Sailor Moon outfit, I'm just saying I will do it for a nominal fee of several $100,000. But Thomas Sofield, a lawyer for the building owners, tried to paint the incident as a freak accident that couldn't have been prevented by the landlord. He also argued to the jury that Brown couldn't have gotten a brain injury from the way the glass broke, trial transcripts show. This was sort of a perfect storm of events where you had Brown leaning on the door, you had a gentleman push on the door with the corner of his cell phone, Sofield said. It was cold out, warm in, and the force on the glass was more than it could handle. Well, I'm hoping that someone just touching something with a cell phone and someone leaning on a door, it being cold outside and warm inside, these are things doors are meant to handle on a daily basis. Sofeld said the glass broke exactly like it was supposed to, into countless little pieces rather than falling as one pane. The truth is the premises were reasonably safe, the defendant was not negligent, and Megan Brown did not sustain a concussion or mild traumatic brain injury in this case, Sofield argued. The only injury Brown suffered was a cut on her hand that required stitches and were removed just 5 days later, the lawyer claimed. He charged that Brown's testimony was inconsistent and couldn't be trusted. But Moore, Brown's attorney, argued that any issues with her testimony were a symptom of her brain injury, and then accusations that she was making up her symptoms for a payout were preposterous. Brown's side said the building had a history of issues with glass door shattering on two prior occasions, once in 2010 and once again in 2014, and argued there was a crack in the door that led to the incident. There is no evidence of a crack on the door, Sofield countered. Ultimately, jurors awarded Brown $35,184,208 in damages on Thursday. JP Morgan was not party to the lawsuit. After being forced out of JP Morgan, Brown worked for a cryptocurrency company for a while, but she got fired from that job too. She opened a small gelato business, which she runs now. Clearly, Megan had no warning that she was walking into a tragic trap, Moore told the Post. Not so the defendant, 271 Madison Company, who failed to implement a modicum of care that would have prevented this injury from ever occurring. Now, the fact pattern of this case, before they told me that they had also had two prior occasions of the door shattering, I would have had questions of how she received her traumatic brain injury, and I'm sure that they brought up medical experts to explain exactly how it is that she got that, what the effects are, and all of the medicalology stuff, all the doctorologist stuff. But so that wouldn't be a case of conjecture for me, but the more damning evidence to me, and this would be just as a juror, is if I knew that in 2010 and 2014, they had glass, exploding doors, regardless of the safety glass used, it would still lead me to believe that they knew that there was a possible point of failure there as a juror. Also, I don't like to be talked down to, and now having joined the ranks of people that can't always trust their brains half the time, I feel for her. I'm glad that she's been able to carve out a small business for her. I know it wasn't the life she chose, but I do hope that she's finding some satisfaction, and I hope that this award will help her possibly, invest in, when she's ready, a new service animal. Because, I think that it can be she has to grieve that loss, and boy, don't I know it, but I think it would be so beneficial for her to get a new service animal when she's ready, if she's ready, and I hope that settlement helps her. And judges behaving badly. Indicted suspended judge resigns after bond is revoked for having the little bit of the nose clams in her system. Embattled Memphis judge under indictment who's run into nothing but trouble in her short time on the bench resigned after her bond was revoked for having a little bit of the nose clam issues. Judge Andronetta, y'all need to stop with this. Everyone is gonna be named Amy and Joe. To be fair, if I had to go with the, procedural days, trials are interesting to watch if you are a trial nerd, but procedural days where it's just one person after the other saying, "Yes, I put in this, these are my these are my initials," and then looking at all the packages, they can get super boring. So Judge Andronetta Melissa Boyd, 59, went to jail last week after failing drug tests. This appeared to be the last straw for Boyd, who is facing removal by the Tennessee General Assembly. In January, the Tennessee Board of Judicial Conduct sent Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and Assembly Speaker Cameron Sexton a letter recommending that the Assembly kick Boyd out of the office. The letter detailed how her former campaign manager in December 2020 or 2022 found a plate with a line of suspected powder in her closet. Her lawyer sent the administrative office of the courts a letter submitting her resignation late last month. She was initially going to resign at the end of May, but a letter sent in Tuesday moved up that date. Did she plead the fifth? I feel like she needs to plead the fifth. Quote, accordingly, please treat this letter as Judge Boyd's indication that she's resigning from her position as a criminal court judge for the 30th Judicial District at Memphis immediately, Tuesday's letter said. At a court hearing last week revoking her bond, Boyd's attorney said his client was in full relapse. I think that is very obvious to the court, attorney Art Horn said, according to CBS affiliate WREG. Putting Miss Boyd in jail and letting her detox and whatever doesn't fix the long-term problem. But Boyd's actions showed that she's just thumbing her nose at the court's orders, prosecutors said. Quote, she's basically thumbing her nose at the court, saying, I'm not going to do the one thing that you ordered me to do. I'm not going to call into pretrial supervision. I'm not going to go by the office. I'm not going to submit to drug screens. I am not going to stop using nose clams, said Nina Sealer, assistant district attorney of the 28th Judicial District, according to WREG. The judge agreed with prosecutors, saying Boyd has refused help to address her drug problem. He sent her to jail until her criminal trial, which is slated to start later this month. As Law and Crime previously reported, a grand jury indicted Boyd in December on charges of coercion of a witness and harassment. According to the complaint obtained by Memphis Commercial Appeal, Boyd is accused of pressuring her campaign manager to recant his statements that she made, or recant the statements she made to a judicial oversight body about Boyd's use of the devil's lettuce and the little white lines since taking office last year. Boyd would also show up at the campaign manager's home and berate her, the Commercial Appeal reported. Boyd reportedly told the campaign manager to shut up and not mess with her because she's a judge. Yeah, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. The judge, elected in August 2022 as Division, I think that's 9 judge of the 30th Judicial Criminal Courts in Memphis, took a leave of absence in May to address an illness or recovery. And honest to goodness, I have seen so many people struggle with addiction. If this judge is struggling with addiction and truly wants to change, she has all of my thoughts and all of my prayers. But it sounds like she does not want to change, and she just wants to be an asshat. But in reality, documents reviewed by Law and Crime say she was suspended by the Tennessee Board of Judicial Conduct that oversees judges. The board suspended her on May 22nd for no more than 6 months due to allegations of drug use and inappropriate behavior, the document said. The suspension was extended in December. On November 30th, 2022, the board received a complaint alleging she was, quote, threatening and intimidating an acquaintance and that she was abusing alcohol. Boyd was required to respond in writing but missed the deadline by more than a month. Now, look, devil's lettuce will make you unmotivated and snacky. But I thought that the white line, non-street legal pharmaceutical was supposed to give you energy and make you at least do stuff. The investigation was expanded in March after Boyd, quote, was discovered sitting outside the acquaintance residence around 2:30 a.m. During the incident, Judge Boyd texted pictures of this individual's property and sent text messages which accused this person of having someone in the home, investigators wrote. Boyd wrote the board on April 10th, admitting to sending the text messages and acknowledging that it was inappropriate. She also admitted she'd failed to respond to the board in a timely fashion, blaming it on deaths of several family members. Then the board said it was expanding its investigation for a third time after Boyd allegedly admitted to having a substance abuse problem. Boyd acknowledged to the board on May 5th that she did indeed have an issue. Boyd's behavior was not appropriate, the board wrote. Quote, when any judge, especially a judge who adjudicates substance abuse or chemical dependency related matters, such as Judge Boyd, has an alcohol or substance abuse issues, respect for the judiciary and administration of justice suffers, the board wrote. Clearly, the public is more likely to respect and have confidence in the integrity and quality of justice administered by a judge if the judge has complied with the same standards of conduct he or she is responsible for applying to others. A judge who has drug or alcohol dependency issues does not inspire such confidence. You don't say. Although I do have to say, I have been on LawTube long enough that I don't know that alcohol dependency is a factor we should go judge by judge to rule. That is a good question. I believe that a lot of defense attorneys will be looking at that. The board ordered Boyd to submit to a substance abuse evaluation and go into rehab if necessary. The Tennessee Lawyers Assistance Program, which assists those in the law profession, had to determine whether she was fit, or she had to determine whether she was fit to return to the bench. But the Board of Judicial Conduct on October 31st issued a public reprimand of Boyd, saying she failed to complete the substance abuse evaluation. It was her second reprimand of the year. In May, the board reprimanded her for asking for donations via social media for a school while wearing her judge robe, which is a violation of judicial policy. I do think that this is going to put into serious jeopardy any cases that she adjudicated while it can be shown that she was on substances. And good morning, Christina. I do think that this would be a legitimate, at least, avenue for those cases to get a new chance or a new chance, to be adjudicated by someone who's a bit more fair or has all of their faculties. I do hope that this woman gets help. Being on the other side and watching someone who has had to deal with, you know, addiction, it is hard to watch someone take their life and, light it on fire and then put it in a trash can and then stomp on it. But, there is people do change. People can, if they want to change, change. So, she does not seem to be in that place right now. So, she should not be a judge. And then just for distant, even though I know he probably won't be watching early this morning, but for our final story, a sanctuary throws a birthday party for a 17-year-old duck. An animal sanctuary in Rhode Island threw a party to celebrate an unusual milestone, a rescued duck's 17th birthday. The West Placed Animal Sanctuary threw a party Party Monday for Erna, a crested pekin duck rescued in 2007. Wendy Taylor, executive director of West Place Animal Sanctuary, said Erna isn't just a resident at the sanctuary. She's also volunteered her time with dozens of ducklings, goslings, poults, chicks, and cygnets. Quote, she's an incredibly special duck, and her motherly instincts have helped us save lives and raised orphan birds at the sanctuary, Taylor told WLNE TV. Taylor told the Newport Buzz that Erna is, quote, a constant source of inspiration and joy. Her maternal instincts have not only saved lives, but also enriched the lives of both humans and animals alike, she said. Crested Peking ducks typically live about 12 years. This is a major milestone. For Erna, Taylor said, for a variety of reasons, farm animals do not often make it to old age. She has given the humans and the animal of West Place so much, and in return, West Place has given Erna the greatest gift of all, the opportunity to grow old. Erna still has a way to go if she wants to earn the Guinness World Record for oldest duck ever. The title belongs to a pair owned by Gladys Blackbeard of Grahamstown in South Africa, who lived to the age of 49. Yes, you're still a young duck, ma'am. Go out and have fun. So there you go. And what a good duck. I mean, she's over there raising other people's kids, taking care of stuff. So rock on with your duck self. Go out, get your hair done, got to get my hair done today by my own self, but still, I hope they just made a big good, celebration and didn't order Peking duck because that would have been a bit Silence of the Lammy. But now I really want Chinese food. I'm a terrible person. JKD Buck, you are a much better person than me because cheese and quackers is better than thinking, gosh, I really want Chinese food right now. I hope you have all had a lovely morning. And Erna the Duck, may you have a wonderful 17th birthday and many years to come. And I hope everyone in Taiwan is able to be found and reunited with their families, even if it's just to be laid to rest, unfortunately. Any hoozle, on a more personal note, looks like my mother-in-law had a pretty bad fall yesterday, so if you could keep her in your thoughts and prayers, that would be wonderful. We're waiting for news to see how, how affected she's going to be. It seems like she might have hit her head. My poor sister-in-law was up until 5 AM this morning with her in the hospital, so I am going to be calling much later after everyone's gotten some rest to see what is going on, but if you do believe in it, prayer, and if you don't, thoughts would be wonderful for that. So have a lovely day, everyone. I am going to, well, turn this off and go check on laundry, which seems to be running at full speed right now. Have a wonderful day, and I am sending you over to Baker. And I am sorry, Jude. Nuts. It's just not been a good week for those of us who have less balance than others. I will see you all later well, not this evening because it is date night, but I will probably be putting up some more videos and then definitely be putting up a poll of what is my next cross stitch project. So I will see you in a little bit, guys. Bye.